Alright, everybody. This is the first episode of, or our podcast, as we call them, or, we're going to have a podcast on our iTunes account soon. We're also going to be having the audio-video on our YouTube channel. So this is called the UAP CAST from Florida MUFON. This episode is going to be about the 1967 UFO flap, and this is actually an anniversary of that flap. So, and we're going to have our guest, Bill, the MAST coordinator for Florida, and he's going to be on here tonight with us after we talk a little bit about news and some other items. So, so this is our podcast. So, very, very casual, so we're going to try to keep it real simple and to the point. So, again, some news for Florida MUFON. Our Kickstarter was successful and still is building funds, which is awesome. We really need that help. It's real exciting for the first time to do a Kickstarter and actually give people something back for helping us out. It's a lot of fun. So if you guys ever get a chance and you can get to our podcast, or I'm sorry, if you can get to our Kickstarter, all you have to do is go to Kickstarter and literally search the words Vanity Project, or Project Vanity, I should say. And we're actually one of the staff picks from Kickstarter, which is awesome. We got this email that talked about, saying, hey, our staff picked yours as a favorite. Everybody's ecstatic about this. It's really neat. And, it was just total shock. Such a well-known organization such as Kickstarter and the website. And they picked us for one of their staff picks. In fact, I was on their webpage, on their front page, and scrolling through, and there it was. Our project showed right up on the front page, which is real exciting. So if you haven't gotten a chance and you want to check it out, just go to Kickstarter to look us up. I can show you here real quick what it kind of looks like, so you guys have an idea. But anyway, get a chance, go in there. We also have the video up there. We also have it on YouTube as well, so share it with your friends. We still need the help. Even though that we've met our goals, the more the merrier, because we have a lot of projects coming up in Florida. We have the MAST program, which is the MUFON Aerial Surveillance Team, which is sort of a quasi relationship between the public volunteers and the field investigators, where we're kind of copying well, yeah, I mean, we are, and and in fact they're okay with it. The old Observer Corps program back in the latter days before they had radar. And so, but we'll have a whole talk on that at a later date. It's really interesting, kind of bringing back history and bringing back volunteerism and searching the skies for unknown aerial phenomenon. It's going to be a lot of fun. So MAST kind of couples in with other projects that we're working on, which, one of them being the All Sky camera, and the All Sky camera system coupled in kind of a simpler version of what's called the UFO TOG system, which is going to be a public project from another independent organization that's involving MUFON. So Florida is getting ready for that by being able to run systems called Sky Sentinels or Sky Sentinel software or Sentinel software, and we're going to be using All Sky cameras to monitor the skies. So wait for that. We're going to have some more news on that coming up. We're in kind of like the beta phase where we're kind of testing and building a few models, and so look forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun, and that's why we need funding. That's why we have Kickstarter. That's why we're going to have some more opportunities for people to help out. It's not just about money either. I mean, people can always give as far as their time, and can always give, in many other ways, materials. I mean, we even need things like printers and scanners and just run-of-the-mill equipment, whatever's possible. And we may put up a list for things like that when we're looking for stuff like that. So, again, look for that in the future, hopefully we'll have a lot more of that coming out soon. I was going to go over some sightings. Actually, we've had quite a few interesting sightings in the last month, actually. So in the last actually couple of weeks, really, we've had a few. So there were a few abduction-type cases or close encounter cases that we've had in the last couple of months, where people have claimed to, have missing time, have some traumatic events happening, or things like that. Those are very difficult to investigate, of course, and so we always enlist the help of MUFON's experiencer research team, formerly known as the Abduction Research Team, or ART. Now it's the ERT. And so we'll keep some updates on that. We have to keep very private because the witnesses would like to stay private, so we do our best with that. There was a few cases where I had actually Carl Paulson was assigned a case. He's our investigator up there above Gainesville, or in Gainesville. And he actually worked on a few cloaking triangle cases a few years back, and he wrote some white papers on these events. And it was really neat how he described the physics behind what would be possible in these cases and how these objects are doing what they're doing. And we have those up on our website. If you ever get a chance, you just go up to MUFON, floridamufon.org. And you can look up those articles. They're on there. Carl has a few up there, specifically the Gainesville Triangle case we have up there, and I coupled that with some of his white papers on the subject of cloaking triangles. And so that's really neat. But that said, I do have a case that we assigned Carl to, and he is currently working on that case with the cloaking, or suspect cloaking triangle. So we'll keep you guys up to date on that. So it's going to be, very interesting. Also, Carl's working on another interesting case called a UFO hovered beneath high voltage power line, close encounter of the first kind. And so that's another one, and that one's out of Bavard. We have got quite a few out of there. We also had a couple of months ago, back when they had the rocket launch. Of course, a lot of people reported that. So one of the ones that Carl's working on, which one I'm talking about, which is out of St. Augustine, and they watched a large black boomerang craft with 5 large glowing lights, made no sound, and disappeared from sight as it cloaked engaged in front of us, from the witness, of course. Very large, according to the witness. And so Carl has some experience working with those cases. We've had quite a few of those cases, but very rarely do we actually have the witnesses watching the craft as it comes into the area go into some sort of cloak mode, as you would call it. We just had, talking about news, actually, we just had David Marler, David Marler, and he has a book out called Triangular UFOs, An Estimate of the Situation, right here. Very good book. I suggest everybody go out and get this. It's on Amazon, I believe. Very interesting, very critical on how he went through the historical information about triangles, kind of dispels myths and gets to the truth about the matter. Very good book, very informative. It's kind of like a shotgun blast approach to understanding the triangle UFO phenomenon. And just like he said in his own presentation this past weekend, which was just awesome. It was great meeting him. I really appreciate him coming out. But if you really want to learn a scientific / objective mode operandi of learning about the triangle UFO phenomenon, get Dave Marler's book. It's called Triangle UFOs by David Marler, a estimate of the situation. Very awesome book. Actually, it was forwarded by John Alexander, so that's pretty neat. And got him to sign it. I know I'm a nerd. Anyway, so another book that I'm reading that I can't put down, which I read a long time ago, but I'm reading it again, is right here. Carl Sagan's Cosmos. I mean, come on. With a new foreword, of course, by Neil deGrasse Tyson. So, but very good book. I mean, classic, doesn't get old. Just a great mind Carl was. And again, if a lot of people accused him of being a little bit too skeptical, but no, he was just being scientific. He was being objective. He wouldn't assume, but he also wouldn't dismiss, which was a good part of him. Everybody says that he shunned, UFOs, but he really didn't. He actually said, well, it's a possibility, but he hasn't seen the evidence. So take that as a challenge. Go get that evidence. Find that evidence. That's science. It's not debunking. It's not saying that it doesn't exist because it's impossible. There's no such thing. Just it's a really great read. Go pick it up. Again, you can probably get it on Amazon for next to nothing, $10 to $15. It's worth having. So. As we go, so tonight let's go ahead and let's move right into our interview. And I'm going to unmute you, Bill, and I'm going to have him on here. And Bill, if you want to share your screen when you get it up there, and I can see it. I can't see you, so go ahead and throw up your night vision scope screen. That would be awesome. And as he gets set up, we'll get some things set up here. So again, you're listening to the first podcast of UAP CAST. This is a Florida MUFON production, I guess you could call it, Florida MUFON Inc. And I also would like, now, in time to time in our podcasting, I can't even talk right today, is to, I don't know what you pushed, Bill, and Mike, please don't do any of that. Just stay silent, Mike. In fact, if you can, Mike, go to the YouTube link that we sent earlier. This is the wrong one to be in. So we're getting started here. So anyway, we do have sponsors. Florida MUFON does depend on funding to keep our online, assets going for you guys. We have the meetup.com, which we really encourage everybody to use if you want to go to some meetings. And Bill, and I'll have Bill on here in a second. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick one for this podcast. So this podcast is brought to you by Kale Studios, our very own Kevin, Kale, sorry. And if you can get a chance, I will go ahead. If you're listening to this podcast live, you can go and get the link on our Meetup page on meetup.com/Florida-MUFON. And I'll also put it, if you're not watching this live, I'll go ahead and put this link below. So again, this podcast is brought to you by Cal Studios. Go there, check it out, and for all your studio needs, video production, audio production. So anyway, so let's get on with it. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Bill. So as I juggle all these screens, I've got about 4 of them in front of me, people. So I'm trying. So let me go ahead and unmute you, Bill. Let's see here. I'll tell you when you are unmuted. Well, that's funny. It's not letting me unmute you, so you have to unmute yourself, Bill. Are you there, Bill? Are you there? All right, Bill.
How's that? You got
there you are. Yeah, awesome. You're here. So we have Bill Schroeder, State Section Director of Tampa. Bill, you put on a great Florida presentation there this past weekend with David Marler. He's a great guy. Any thoughts or reminiscing on that?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun messing with Dave. He's got a great sense of humor. He's a real easy guy to talk to, and he's a credit to ufology. That's all there is to it. We also had lunch yesterday and walked all day, and that afternoon before he caught his flight. He was very impressed with our group, and I'm proud of all of you. He said the questions were good, and he had a good time. So it worked out great, and I think we might see him again.
Yeah, man, I really hope so, because it was a great time. Great guy. I mean, like you said, I think all our thought processes are parallel. He's more of a person that likes to. He is a researcher, so he is really focused on the triangle UFO phenomenon, and so he is very good at it. He's very good at research. So, oh, look at that, Bill. You got 2. They're going to hit each other. So people are probably wondering what we're looking at here. Bill, go ahead and explain what we're looking through. This is your screen capture here.
Yeah, this is basically out over to the north end of Tampa Bay, and I can bring it down a little bit. There's the city of Tampa. There's the causeway that runs between Tampa and Clearwater, and over there is downtown Tampa, and that's downtown Tampa, and we spend most of our time in the sky. We are right on the flight line for Tampa International Airport and St. Petersburg International Airport. We do have a lot of aircraft up, so those are the there's one there. They're all over the sky. As soon as it clears up, gets a little darker. It's not totally black here. We'll probably see some stars popping out. But
awesome.
What we're looking for, we're not going to have to worry about anyway. We'll see them if they're there.
Yeah, definitely.
So
tonight you're doing a sky scan, correct?
Yeah, sky scan. Yeah.
And explain to the people there at home what a sky scan is.
Yeah, when we started the MASS program, I had an idea what I wanted to do, and Morgan and I got together and I looked for a system that was already in place, or a system that we could mimic that would do what we needed to do. And we looked at the old Ground Observer Corps that was formed back in the 40s at the beginning of World War II, and continued until the late 50s when NORAD began what was the SAGE system that took over. And what the Ground Observer Corps was hundreds and hundreds of American spotters that operated. I think we just had a meteor right across the screen there. Hundreds and hundreds of American spotters that were out every day scanning the skies, looking for flight, and they would call filter stations, and the filter stations would call the control station. And we built MASS around their design. It was a beautiful system. All we had to do was update it with today's technology, and we even got when I started getting the program going, I actually found a group of old Ground Observer Corps and told them what we were trying to do, and thanked them for their work, and they were really excited. They actually sent us some pairs of original Ground Observer wings. And the original, the best Ground Observer School, the elite ones were trained right here in Florida. And when they had an operation, they had what they called a sky scan. The word skywatch that is so well used in ufology, amazingly, came from the people that were having to deal with all the time, the United States Air Force. And the word Skyscan was Skywatch taken to a new level. So when we decided to do massed sky surveillance, we decided to name it Skyscan, because we are taking Skywatch to an entirely different level, where we not only find things, we devote two times as much computer power to identifying them as we do to finding them. I think that sums it up there, Morgan.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. It does. And I was going to show people at home what one of those little pins look like, because you gave me one of the four, so I really appreciate that, Bill. It means a lot. So here it is. I don't know if it focuses in or not, but focus, focus. Anyway, there it is. It's a little pin. Has the GOC on there, the filter center in the United States Air Force little pin. And Bill, this is one of the originals, right, that they sent us, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. They sent us 4, and there's probably not many around. You can find them on eBay, but they're pretty expensive. But they were a gift. They were a gift from the original ground observer people.
I mean, that means we really have a lot to prove. So it's an honor. It really is. It's a crazy honor. It's something that I'll always keep, and hopefully I'll start wearing it I was meant to wear it at our show yesterday or this past Sunday as a lapel pin. But I forgot it. I left it on the refrigerator. I was like, I won't forget it, but I did. But anyway, okay, Bill. So what is the anniversary tonight? What is today's anniversary?
Exactly 48 years ago today. It's 9:03 p.m. I would have been setting in the Battery Control Center of Battery B, 6th Battalion, 65th Artillery Hawk. I was part of NORAD, as was my cousin, who was at the Homestead Air Force Base at a radar station there, the 644th Radar Squadron. And right around this time, we were actually just chatting and shooting the bull. We were my radar station, my missile battery was in standby mode, which meant that the radars were warmed up, but they were off. Everything, all we had to do was flip a switch, and everybody was kind of relaxing in the ready room. And there was a very skeleton crew out on the pads. I was by myself in the BCC. And the BCC was really great. It was full of computers. Back then, many of the computers were not solid state. We did have some tubes. And in order to keep the computer systems cool, the BCC used to be cold. So that was great in Florida. We were down in Key West, and it was a great place to huddle up and just have fun, relax.
Yeah, and so quickly, as far as people can actually go to our YouTube channel, and there is an episode of Need to Know, and I think it's episode 2, and I've got it right up here on the screen for people to see. If you go to our YouTube channel, you can listen to Bill's full account initially of most of his research and what he and his cousin. Correct, he's your cousin, right?
Yes,
yes, sir. So the episode 1967's Miami, Cuba incident. We kind of put it in there. I'm sure the name will change as you find more information, because it seems to just keep expanding, right? So people can go there to listen to the whole thing. But as in a quick kind of like summary, what happened that night, and what have you learned now? What's the new what updates can you tell us about what you've learned about this incident and what it may correlate with other incidences that you are researching right now?
Yeah, that night ended around 11:30 p.m. Just a few hours from now. It was a Friday night, March 31st, 1967. We were engaged in conversation, me, my cousin, and I, and a bunch of student nurses from the University of Miami. And I was 18 years old. And my cousin Dennis, who was also the NORAD command center for that area, a communications specialist, told me he had to leave. We had to hang up because something was going on. And when he came back, it was part of a alert. We had some unknown targets that were it appeared, again, the NORAD was very compartmentalized, so we pretty much knew what was going on in our little section, but did not have an overview of everything. So it appeared that we had what was called a snowbird alert. We had a breach of the dew line, and there was, everybody was basically freaking out. And Dennis told me that these targets had approached Miami at high speed, and they were there in the skies. They had decelerated off the Atlantic coast, and some of them proceeded south. And all I had to do was reach up and turn on my PAR. It was all ready to go. Like I say, it was warmed up. I just flipped it into radiate, and my scope came to life. And looked down. I told Dennis, I said, I've got 4 targets, 4 solid targets. And the 4 targets, we tracked them to make a long story short, we tracked these 4 targets. I personally can only tell you what I observed. I tracked 4 targets for almost 3 hours, flying what absolutely was a grid pattern, speed sometimes in excess of 7 miles an hour, sometimes probably down near 200 miles an hour. They were making right turns and left turns in formation. They were doing things that conventional aircraft, even today, couldn't do. But back then, it would have been science fiction. The turns they were making would have just killed any normal pilot that was inside these things. And the wonderful thing about that observation, it's maybe not as exciting as many people that actually see a UFO or see something. I had time to evaluate what I was looking at. I was a qualified radar operator. I was a doggone pulsac mechanic. I mean, I could take the thing apart and work on it. So I knew every conceivable form of interference, and I knew that I was watching solid targets maneuvering in formation. And then after some time, a couple of times interceptors flew up there to check them out, but as the interceptors would arrive, they would completely just disappear off the scope, which was amazing. I mean, between sweeps, they'd be there for one sweep, and when the sweep come around, they'd be gone. And after some time, one of them broke formation and started heading south, which really tickled me to death, because this would give me the chance to bring into play some other radar equipment that I had that didn't quite have the reach of the PAR, including the Illuminator, which was a targeting radar, very strong and very accurate tracking radar, which I could get more data on this target. And he proceeded south, and when he got within appropriate range, I locked on him with the PAR, or rather the Illuminator radar, and he proceeded to shut me down. In the radar business, we call it ECM. If there's any scope, you know what I'm talking about, electro countermeasures. He used some type of amazing electro countermeasure that basically shut down the entire site. We were never sure exactly what happened, and I was never allowed to examine my equipment because they locked it up pretty much. But for just a moment, just a second, my scope stopped and then started to move backward. When they lose power, the cursors will sometimes stop and collapse. They'll actually collapse in on themselves. But first time I met it, and I always had in my mind that possibly something got reversed, polarity got, and that caused those DC motors to reverse. But I was never able to prove that, and I'll probably never. It did shut down, and one of the funny things about the thing was I was still in communication with Dennis and whoever else was listening, and I had this headset on, and I was sort of at that moment speaking to myself as I said, my God, this is Earth versus the flying saucers for real. And that was just milliseconds before I went off. My poor Dennis, he didn't know whether I got vaporized or what happened, because I just disappeared. But it wasn't until years later, of course, Dennis and I, we sat on that for two. Dennis was in law enforcement, I was in law enforcement. And we wouldn't even talk about it between ourselves. We would be out together, we'd be goofing off somewhere, and we'd see a UFO story, or we'd hear one on the radio, and one of us would always look at the other and say, "Do you remember the night?" And he'd say, "Yeah, I remember the night." And that was it. That's all we'd ever. We were so worried about hurting our reputation in law enforcement, we didn't even communicate ourselves. So after we both retired, I decided to come out and went public, and there wasn't much of a reaction to that. And then I just filed, I don't even remember which one of the other UFO reporting sites. And then Linda Moulton Howell was on the radio one night, and she said she was looking for military witnesses, and I sent her an email the next morning, and she called me probably in 20 minutes, and we were on Coast to Coast AM the next night, which was really exciting. And then I found MUFON and began investigating my case in earnest, and with the help of MUFON, and I also belong to NICAP. The information started pouring in: military witnesses, civilian witnesses, reports, and it looks like what we saw was just the very beginning of an amazing 2-month flap over South Florida. Multiple sightings, landings, close encounter of the third kind in downtown Miami. Incredible stuff, and it's turned into much more than it ever was before.
Wow. Well, you people at home, you're watching the first podcast of UAP CAST, Florida MUFON podcast, and tonight's guest is Bill Schroeder, State Section Director out of Tampa, and talking a little bit about the anniversary of the 1967 UFO flap for him in the Miami and Key West, or the Keys area. But it seems like, Bill, that this event actually expanded quite a distance, not just localized, as you learned later, right, in your research. So, can you tell us a little bit about that real quick and some updates of
yeah, sure.
research?
One of the big breaks I got was Dave Marler. Actually, we're talking before he appeared in Florida. He had an amazing amount of data, newspaper clippings, etc., that he had sent to me. I had a bunch of military witnesses, and it appears that for 3 to 4 weeks, the UFOs, or wherever they were from, were all over South Florida and along the Gold Coast, along the Atlantic coast of Florida, and seemed to have very little regard for air defense or witnesses. They were very open about what they were doing. I was able to link in the famous Crestview School event where we actually had landings. I've got a totally reliable witness from downtown Miami who was 12 years old at the time, 11 or 12 years old, a paper boy who turned a corner and wound up face to face with three what he said were giant owls on top of a warehouse, and a huge ship, 2-block wide ship setting in downtown Miami in a warehouse district at 5:30 in the morning. And when you put all the information together and you draw a circle, it's clear that something very amazing was happening. My personal opinion is that they may have lost a ship and just were looking for it, but that's just sheer speculation based on the evidence I have. And I'm still processing information. I just got a whole new bunch of reports that NICAP and the APRO, which was the predecessor of MUFON, Aerial Phenomenon Research Organization. I've actually got the actual reports now from NICAP and APRO with the witness names, and so I'm trying to track the witnesses and their descendants, if any. So it's an ongoing situation that's really expanding.
Yeah, no, it's such an interesting case. It spans so many witnesses, so many areas on the east coast of Florida, all the way down through the Keys, Miami, but also, all the way to the Dew Line up north in Canada. We may have more witnesses eventually that may pop up along that coast. We may have witnesses and military witnesses and people who, witnessed this event, similar to what you have witnessed along the coast of the United States and Canada.
I have no doubt at all that there are radar operators, scope dopes, that were on duty along the Atlantic coast that track these things. I've already spoken to a Royal Air Force lieutenant who was at a radar, one of the Dew Line stations, who did track, and again, his date wasn't exact, but he said it was the spring of 1967. The 8 targets, 4 high, 4 low. What he said was 4 solid, 4 intermittent, which, intermittent means they were probably just at the edge of the bottom radar coverage. So there's more. I know there's more radar operators that track these things.
That's great. And just looking at your screen there, you have a lot of air traffic. I'm assuming most of those things we're seeing going by are probably just conventional commuter aircraft.
Yes, yes. If they weren't, I'd be tracking them across the sky. We do have a full motorized system here.
Mhm.
It's really nice. I can pan from my computer. I can just sit here and pan across the sky. And you notice this one's turning. There's his landing
Yeah.
lights. He's on final coming into Tampa International Airport, which is right over there. But the pan controls and the motorized heads on this is really neat. That
Wow.
is a called a Skywatcher all-purpose mount, and it's really nice. But, this is a good location. We've just recently had a number of reports from the Tampa and downtown Tampa and Ybor City area. So when we set up tonight, we figured we'd kind of watch the sky over Tampa and see if we saw anything unusual.
Yeah, and
Flight tracker.
I
Yeah.
can actually read off a few of those actually that you guys have. Were the Hillsborough, Tampa. You had it looked like a blimp, but much faster. Started out silver, made a quick turn, and turned black. Then you had another Hillsborough, Tampa. It says looked like a shooting star in slow motion. Stopped over a building, descended and downward, and then disappeared. Well, a lot of times too, I'll be surprised if you guys don't see an actual drone or somebody flying something like that around too tonight. Let's see, what else do you guys have? You had, let's see, they got a bunch of Lee County ones that I have to deal with. Let's see, I know there was another one that we sent you guys there in Pinellas. There was a sphere that was witnessed there, and I think that was a daytime witnessed event. And then we had, let's see, I'm just scrolling right down the list here. Okay, here's another one. There was 3 spheres appeared in the east. Formed an object glowed white, yellow vanished. 3 spheres reappeared. So sometimes we get a lot of explanation. And these are always on the weekends for some reason. So we do get Chinese lanterns, but yeah. But we do get some really neat cases. I know you guys had that flap not that long ago, which your mast team here in Florida actually responded to, and we had a few of the mast spotters actually see one of the craft, and I think we ended up determining that it may have been the B-2 bomber. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We track the thanks to the MAS team their tracking. That's one of the great things about the spotter system is each spotter will say where they saw it and where it was headed, and then we go to the next spotter down the line, and it led us right to MacDill, and then I actually called MacDill and a source over at MacDill, and halfway as far as they would admit that they were prepping B2s for a mission. So that's and they look like B2s if they were the wing-shaped aircraft. So, but we also had some unusual orbs that was at the same time. Some of those daytime orbs that the mass spotters did find, which are basically unknowns.
Yeah, we weren't able to determine.
There's the fishing pier.
Oh yeah, neato. That's pretty neat. Now, I'm
Yeah.
definitely, Bill, you're gonna have to give me the specs of where I can get some of this stuff because I want to build one too for down here. Yeah, I'm actually gonna build one up and permanently install it. Well, not permanently, but put it up there on the roof of our studios down here in Fort Myers. So yeah, tell people a little bit about how they can get involved in MAST and what to do. I can actually, while you're talking, I'll actually pull up the website, which has that section in it. So
Yeah.
go ahead and explain how they can get involved.
Yeah, well, my email address is not a secret. And it's easy to remember. It's a mufonman@gmail.com. Send me an email. Just on the subject line, just put MAST volunteer. You do not need to be a member of MUFON or any other group to be a MAST volunteer. We just need your time. You will need to supply your exact home address so we can plot you on a map and know exactly where you are. And I mean, you don't even need a pair of binoculars, and a cell phone and a notebook is great, but you can use naked eye. You don't need even, just be able to communicate with us. And when we're activated, just go outside and check the sky where we ask you to and look for what we want you to, and that's it. And and of course you can go as far as you want. If you want to invest the computer, dedicate the computers and the equipment, we do need level 2 stations whenever we can get them. So level 2 stations are stations that have the tracking ability, much like you're looking at right now, plus the identification ability using Orbitron and Flight Tracker 24. And you can find all this stuff on the MUFON web channel or the YouTube channel. All this software that we use and how we use it is up there. All the educational videos.
Yeah, and actually right now too, if you guys want to, I'm showing on our screen right now the Florida MUFON site, and just go to floridamufon.org, and then under the Get Involved section, actually no, under the Projects section, sorry, you'll find the MAST project, and there's our website. It has the introduction video that you can watch. Basically gives you the rundown. And then gives you a little bit of history about what where the name came from, some of or at least how the organization of it came from, the idea, basically the concept from the Observer's Corps. Real history there, and some of these people, and that's where we got our pens from, which is just awesome. And kind of goes down through this, the same information Bill just mentioned, and sometimes we'll have a live chat set up here for everybody to be able to use during these nights, and it's still up there from last time, Bill. So if you guys ever wanted to use it, get on there and use it. Communicate with us. We're on there. So and then also, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, and let's say you're on the live chat right now, please just write in the comment section in the YouTube cast link that we sent out on our Facebook page. Just go there and type in some questions, and we'll try to answer them. Also, you can also, if you're listening to this, on our podcast on our iTunes account, and feel free to email Bill at mufonman@gmail.com about MAST and about his event. If you're a witness, maybe of that event, he would be really grateful to learn more about it. So, yeah, this is really interesting. It's great stuff. I think. We're on to something here, and eventually we're going to have some of these other projects that I talked about earlier come online, and then Bill, you're probably going to have some updates about your research on that and on your incident. And now, Bill, now is it top secret? Are you working on a publication that people can get eventually?
Yes, we've got a publisher. We're writing a book about the incident over Miami, but it's no longer incident over Miami because it's spread too wide. We're not sure of what the name is, but based on what I've seen, it's probably going to be Unknown Down, and it's going to be a very involved writer and publisher. It takes almost a year to get it out because they have to do fact checking and the artwork, etc., etc. It's not a vanity; it's a real publisher, and we hope to have it out for the anniversary, 9th anniversary of this evening. I'd like it to break through, and hopefully everybody can get a chance to look at it. But I'm not really top secret about what happened. I try to release as much as I can. I have had problems with some people taking bits of information and filling in the blanks, but
Yeah, that happens with all cases, as you know. It's just part of the landscape. It seems like everybody wants to add their own fabrication or embellishment to things that are being put out there, but this is just a really incredible case, and it's been how many years? What anniversary are we in right now? How many years is it?
48 40 years.
Wow. So yeah, it's one of those things. We had so many cases that people just don't know about. This was probably one that people really didn't know about until it started getting its rounds. And the other part is that the Crestview incident. People don't think that, they think that is a separate incident, but really, Bill, that was what, a day or two separate from your event?
5 days
from
my event. Witnesses observed the same things that we had seen on radar. The aircraft that were the UFOs that were disappearing. And what's really amazing is the aircraft that were drawn by the children. The aircraft the photographs that I have from other locations. The objects are identical. The objects that were drawn by the children, the objects were photographed by the Air Force, which I have the actual Air Force photographs and documents to back them up, from two different locations, one south of the event, one north of the event, and plus the children's drawings. It's all consistent. I spent my life as a police detective, and I was a homicide detective, and I'm used to looking at evidence. And this evidence, I would take this to a court of law and have no problem.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No, I wouldn't doubt that either. So yeah, no, that's awesome, Bill. And well, we've got about a minute. And is there anything that you'd like to tell people about your case, about where they can learn about it, and also about the MAST program, about what you guys are doing tonight? So how can people, like you said, you gave out your email, and everything like that. I think that's what people can do. I'll make sure that gets into the comments below. So if you guys see any of the comments below, if you're listening to this not live, we will have that information there. If you're listening to the audio of this podcast, obviously you probably have heard us talking about some things that we're looking at here on the screen, which is basically a motorized tripod with a night vision scope on it. Correct, Bill?
That's correct. Yeah.
And which
Skywatcher, and you can keep track of most of my work if you just follow me on Facebook.
Yeah, just look us up on MAST. I think it's MAST.
Sorry, Morgan, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, you were breaking up there a little bit. Sorry. I was going to say, yeah, you can go online. That we do have a MAST group that if you get involved, you will be added to it. And it's used for communication. So again, if you guys want to be a spotter, just somebody that's handy that can be out, and about in your local area, please sign up. Bill, we always could use more people. We have people all over the Florida areas right now in MAST, which is just awesome. And we're just going to keep developing that program to give you guys more things to do, because trust me, we're going to be turning some corners here with this project, and with everybody's help, it's going to be a great thing. So, okay, Bill, so I'm going to go ahead and close out. Thanks for coming on. Until next time, we will have a new guest and maybe some chatter between us investigators. So look forward to more of these podcasts, and in the future, we're going to be putting them up at least once a month. We're going to try to anyway. And just hang in there. We're going to have some exciting things coming up around the corner. Again, I encourage people to go to Kickstarter, look at Project Vanity. Let us know, if we're, go ahead and, donate. You get a little plate with the Golf Breeze incident artwork on it. Little collectible vanity plates. That's why we call it Project Vanity, by the way. And so, again, check us out on our website at www.floridamufon.org. Again, we have tons of social networks, Twitter account, we have Facebook, and definitely check out our YouTube channel where all this content's being uploaded, on a monthly basis. So again, thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to go ahead and close out, and look for us next month. And remember, all the information you need is down in the comments below if you need to go to our YouTube and you're watching it there. Or if you're on iTunes and you're listening to the recorded version of this, remember all the information there. We'll have the links there as well. Again, hey, thanks, Bill, for coming on tonight, and good luck tonight with the MAST operation up there in Tampa. And definitely let us know if you catch anything.
All right, thank you, Morgan. Loved it. Thank you.
Not a problem, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and close out, and have a great night, everybody. And until next time, this has been UAP CAST, the Florida MUFON podcast, and we will see everybody next time.